I've said it before and I will say it again and again and again. Vintage items are one-of-a-kind treasures you can find everywhere, anywhere, and they sell for a premium profit. So you know what I'm going to say next, don't you? Let's get to learning. In this video, I am going to share 10 different vintage categories or items that you should be sourcing for right now. Many of these things sell year-round, but some of them are especially great to find at this time of year. I've pulled from my own sales as well as a few eBay sold comps so you can get a really great detailed and nuanced idea of specifically what kind of items in these categories sell best. All right, without further ado, let's get started with the first one. It's no secret that we are well into fall, and winter, I fear, is right around the corner. So let's talk about velvet. I love velvet. It's so plush and distinctive and opulent. Velvet can take the form of a man's jacket as well as a lady's coat, a tailored top, a sumptuous skirt, playful palazzo pants, you name it, it can be made in velvet. Even accessories like hats and wraps, and especially when you consider burnout velvet, which is also super, super popular. Now, what to look for in velvet clothing when you're sourcing? Let's talk about materials. Velvet can be made from several different materials. Traditionally, it was made from silk. It can also be made from cotton, from wool, from rayon, and other synthetic fibers. When you feel it, you can almost tell if it's made from a natural or synthetic fiber. Natural fibers like silk and cotton are going to feel warmer and softer. The synthetic fibers like polyester and even rayon are going to feel a little colder, stiffer, and almost a little bit plasticky in some cases. So as I like to say, touch it to know it. You want to look right now for the color palette that matches the season. So look for autumnal colors like warm whiskey amber and mustard yellows, olive greens, plum purples, deep maroons, chocolate brown for sure. These are all great choices for right now. But also keep your eyes peeled for those really deep, saturated, beautiful, bright, wintry colors like dark black and deep red. As far as for what brands to shop when you're looking at velvet items, I can tell you right now, Johnny Was and Ralph Lauren are at the top. They bring a great return on your investment. However, you really need to know your vintage labels in order to call the item vintage. So be careful, do a little homework. Aside from that, any brand in velvet can sell as long as it feels and looks quality and has a silhouette that's popular. Here is a sale I made recently on Etsy. It's a woman's blazer from Chore, California. I sold this blazer for $60. Now, I pay shipping on Etsy, but shipping was less than $10. So I still cleared $40. What a great thing to find. I also sold this adorable top on Etsy. It's a brand you've never heard of. I've never heard of it. It's vintage and the silhouette is sort of that fairy whimsigoth look. I sold this top for $45. And I sold this adorable floral vest on Etsy for $50. It has no brand tag whatsoever. And that's not all. I sold this burnout skirt for $45 and this robe for $55. I'm telling you, velvet, velvet, and by the way, velvet. I want to talk to you about one of my favorite seasonal hard goods to sell, stocking hangers. Oh my goodness, I love these things. Recently, while working on my death pile, I pulled out 4 brass Christmas tree stocking hangers. Here's a picture. Now, if you didn't watch that video, it's done really well. I think a lot of people are resonating with Q4 and needing to get their listings up. So their death pile is definitely something they want to conquer. If you haven't checked out the video, give it a look. This is what it looks like. This is the thumbnail. I'll be following up in a few weeks on that video to let you know how I've been doing with my death pile. Spoiler alert, really darn good. Anyway, I pulled these 4 stocking hangers out of that tub, listed them the next day, and they sold so fast for $150 on Etsy. The only sticker on them says India, so they're not even marked whatsoever with any brand. But I do want to talk to you about a few brands that do really well and some materials. Over the past 7 years of reselling, I've sold a lot of these cast iron painted stocking holders. They have no brand on them. They're just heavy and gorgeous, and people love them. I've sold them anywhere from $50 to $100 for a single hanger. They are absolutely wonderful. Some brands that you could look for while outsourcing are definitely Pottery Barn. Oh my goodness. Also, you're going to look for Mark Roberts. You're going to look for Pier 1. You're going to look for Midwest Cannon Falls, Anthropologie, and a few Hallmark as well. I want you to pay special attention to some stocking holders I just learned about. They're generally called Christmas Express. I'll show you some examples here. And they're made by different companies, from Pottery Barn to Target, and they sell for crazy money. I am going to be hunting for these high and low every time I go out to source from now till Christmas, and probably even after that. So to recap, when it comes to stocking holders or stocking hangers, and by the way, I would use both of those words, holder and hanger, in my listings because people type different things into the search. I want you to keep in mind carved wood pieces like this set that I sold on Poshmark. I also want you to think about cast iron, metals, silver metal. I sold this snowflake pair that did really well. And I want you to keep in mind brass. Brass just is timeless and classic. People love it. It gets a patina. These that I sold had definite some discoloration on them. Doesn't matter. People love them. So keep your eyes peeled for stocking holders / hangers. Next, I want to talk to you about chore coats. Now, chore coats are the utility uniform of every rancher and farmer you've ever known or seen. They are basic, structured, simple collar, pockets, and they're made out of many different materials. And they're super popular with people who work very hard, but they're just as popular with young and old alike who want to go down the street and get a coffee at Starbucks. They are that popular. Let's talk about brands to look for. The obvious ones are LL Bean, Carhartt, Eddie Bauer, and if you know your vintage labels, you can look also for Patagonia. Now, you don't have to have a brand name because chore coats don't really appeal to people based usually on brand but on look. And sometimes the more beat up, the better. Exhibit A. I sold this coat not long ago. It belonged to my son. It is well loved and really truly beat up. I sold it for $52 on eBay very fast. Chore coats are commonly made in canvas or waxed cotton, but they can also be made in wool and other fabrics. The most important thing about a chore coat is that it's a little bit longer than your typical coat. Like I said, it's got utility pockets, a simple collar, and you usually see them in very neutral colors. It's rare to see a super colorful chore coat. Some chore coats have Sherpa lining or a flannel lining or a quilted lining. There's all kinds of linings that go on with these coats. Speaking of coats, I can't wait to share this one with you. Let me introduce opera coats. Long lines, luxurious fabrics. These are specialty coats made for special formal events, and they are amazing. I recently sold this opera coat in a cocoon style black velvet, fully lined, by Irene Kasmer, who was a California designer in the 80s. I picked this coat up for $11 at Savers and sold it very quickly on eBay for $250. Traditional opera coats were made of silks and fancy brocades, velvets, and trimmed in beading and fur and embroidery. They were really opulent. Today's opera coats are a little more understated, and they're even worn with jeans and heels. But they are just as popular, especially when it comes to formal events. Keep your eyes open for opera coats that have really nice lining. That can be a really great giveaway. These would be fur coats. These would be silk, brocade, velvets. And there'll be many different silhouettes. They can be long and close to the body, or they can be shorter and a little wider in a swing style. Now, no matter the silhouette, it's very typical that the sleeves on an opera coat will be kimono or dolman style. This allows room for the sleeve of the gown that goes underneath. High solds in this category definitely belong to luxury brands like Christian Dior and some of those luxury department stores like Bergdorf Goodman or Saks Fifth Avenue. But sometimes you can find a real deal on those. People aren't looking for those luxury department store brands. But as I've been saying all along in this video, you don't need the brand to carry the piece if the style and quality are there. So let's look at a few examples. For instance, this is a Laura Ashley coat that sold for a great price. And we've got some really amazing prices on Betsy Johnson vintage opera style coats. The lesson here is that fancy can absolutely mean more money in your pocket. So keep your eyes peeled for the elegant, everlasting, ever-loved opera coat. Next, I want to talk to you about something that sells year-round, pillow shams. Now, if you're confused by the word sham, I'm here to help you because so was I. A pillow sham is typically decorative, has some type of closure like buttons down the back or a zipper on the side, and it is not meant for sleeping on. On the other hand, pillowcases don't typically have a closure. They're open on one end, they match your bed sheets, and they are definitely meant to be slept on. Pillow covers are either or. They cover both. I think I should note here that we can't be the only ones who are confused. So when you're listing pillow shams, I would, somewhere in the description, also post the word cover and case, just to cover all your bases. With that information out of the way, let me show you this recent pillow sham I sold on Poshmark very quickly for $55. It is a linen made by Bella Notte. I bought it for $2 at a little thrift store, and I'd never seen the brand before. All I knew is that it was cute and it was made of linen. Likewise, many linen pillow shams sell, regardless of brand. It's a very popular aesthetic for cottagecore, farmhouse, you name it, people love it. When it comes to pillow shams, there are all kinds of materials, but once again, it's great to favor the natural fabrics like silk, linen, 100% cotton, etc. Also, I think it's so fun because pillow shams come in just about every shape you can think of, from round circle cushions to hearts, to your typical king and queen rectangles, to your log-shaped bolster pillows, and the square Euro shams. As far as brands go, first and foremost, if you suspect any pillow sham to be antique, definitely give it a look over. Even if the condition is not perfect, quilted antique pillow shams sell really, really well. But you should also look at Pottery Barn, Ralph Lauren, Waverly, even JCPenney and other department stores, because once again, quality and silhouette or shape trump brand. Since it is going to be holiday time, let's talk cocktail glasses. There's really nothing more I love than a holiday cocktail in a sweet, delicate, wide-brimmed little coupe glass. I think they are just darling. Nothing against the traditional champagne flute, which carries the bubbles better. I recently sold this set of 8 different colored glasses on Etsy for $55. Now they're delicate and you need to take care when shipping them, but they're so light, the shipping was less than $11. The really cool thing about the design of a coupe glass is because of its wide, broad bowl, it's less likely to spill, and that's what people love about it. Coupe glasses are great for daiquiris, Manhattans, and martinis, as well as all the cool new craft drinks that people are coming up with. When it comes to brand on these delicate cocktail glasses, it can be really hard. Unless you see the word Waterford etched in there, you may just have to go by what appeals to you, like these gold rims or brightly colored glasses, or in this case, glow in the dark uranium anchor hawking coupe glasses. Next up, we're going to talk about the ubiquitous, lovely, elegant, wonderful, fun, whimsical silk scarf. Vintage silk scarves. Now, I probably don't have to tell you, the most popular ones are definitely coming out of the luxury houses, from Hermes to Christian Dior and so on. But you don't need to buy a luxury brand silk scarf to make a great profit. Let me give you some examples. Recently on Etsy, I sold this Laurel Birch cat scarf for $35. That I picked up for $1 at a garage sale. At the same garage sale for another $1, I picked up this Christian Fishbacher. Never heard of him, but the scarf was so darling. That recently sold for $21 on Poshmark. I'm telling you, you can find silk scarves for a bargain at garage sales especially. They're usually $1 to $2 and sell them for $20 to $50 online. So keep your eyes peeled for silk scarves. Side note, I want you to know that when I first started reselling, the year must have been 2019, I found a Christian Dior silk scarf up the street at my local Goodwill. I think I paid $5.99 and I sold it very quickly on eBay for $250. Now I no longer have a picture of it, womp womp, but just believe me, that was the fastest checkout I ever had at a thrift. I was yelling to my own car, "Get started, we're leaving." Now I think you know this already, but the great thing about silk scarves, they're light and super easy to store and super easy to ship. All you need is a poly bag and a thank you note. Now some scarves do not have any tags on them. How do you know, Kelly, if it's silk? Well, there are a couple of ways. One I recently learned about, and that is to run the scarf through one of your rings on your fingers. Just take it off and run the scarf through the ring. If it pulls or snags at all, it is likely not silk. If it quickly, smoothly, softly runs through, it likely is. Another telltale sign, and this one's more dependable, is to look at the hem of the scarf. If you can tell it is hand sewn, hand rolled, and not machine sewn, you've likely got a silk scarf on your hands. Most manufacturers will not go to the trouble of hand sewing, hand rolling the hems of a lesser fabric. When I'm shopping for vintage silk scarves, I love to pay attention to color and design. Now, cats are a favorite. I don't think you can go wrong with cats. But you also want to look for color palettes that match the season. Oh, you definitely want to look out for these Nicole Miller 1990s silk scarves. Total cult following on these. She has these all over patterns that are themed, anything from Vegas to different cities to cocktails and shopping, you name it. So those you definitely want to keep your eye on. Getting back to fancy, I want to talk to you about ladies' gloves for a minute because I feel like you can find ladies' gloves all the time. You think nobody's wearing them anymore, but you'd be wrong, and I'm going to tell you why. Ever since the resurgence of the Regency period in shows like Bridgerton, folks are throwing Gatsby parties and dressing up in all kinds of unique and different ways, and they love their gloves. I recently sold this pair of French kid leather gloves for a wonderful price, as you can see. And in the past, I've sold the little knitted gloves like these for a good price. You can typically buy these for $1 at the thrift. Not the leather ones maybe, but the knit ones. And girls are still going crazy for those. Very coquette, very feminine, very festive, and especially for holiday time. One really interesting note about some of these leather gloves, even the very old ones, is that they are washable. And you will know that because they are stamped on the inside and look like this. Some of them have buttons, some of them are pull-on. There are fingerless versions like this one here on eBay. There are so many options. So keep your eyes open for ladies' gloves. Let's talk about a shirt everyone loves, the good old flannel shirt. Unisexually loved, that sounded weird. Universally loved, and the vintage versions bring a great premium. If you've watched my videos, you might remember this cute shirt that I was very upset was not in my size. I ended up selling her for $45 on Etsy, and I did a little sad goodbye. Having said that, there are so many flannel shirts that sell for a great price. The JCPenney Big Mac flannel shirt. Check out this comp. I mean, these prices are just absolutely insane. Now, pay attention to the tags because I did notice when I was doing research that the older tags definitely brought the major premium dollars, but I think they all in general do well. There's also the idea of the aesthetic of grunge, which made flannel shirts super popular in the 90s, and I just don't think that that trend has ever died. We all love a good flannel shirt in the fall and winter. Great brands to look for: LL Bean, Eddie Bauer, but even Land's End and Chaps can do very well. Ralph Lauren, do I need to even say it? Probably the most popular flannel shirt. Keep your eye open for quality materials like 100% cotton. There can be some blends and they just don't last as long or do as well on the resale market. For the last vintage category, I want to talk to you about something that might surprise you, especially for this time of year. May I introduce the poet blouse, or the poet shirt, or the pirate shirt. Whatever you call it, it's a great seller year-round for both men and women, but let's be honest, mostly women. I recently sold this poet blouse for, get this, $80 on eBay. I bought it for $1 at a garage sale. It had a few markings. I did have to wash it up, but it came out beautiful. Poet shirts, very traditionally, are billowy and have bishop sleeves. This is a bishop sleeve. Just this huge, voluminous, gorgeous, blowing in the wind. Think of Fabio on the cover of a romance book, often adored down the front with ruffles and frills. These are just beautiful, beautiful tops. Look for materials like 100% silk or 100% linen or 100% cotton. These are meant to be lived in. Think of the pirate's life, arr. But they're also super romantic, very cottagecore, and very popular. The great news is you can find these in ivory, you can find them in white, you can find them in grays and blacks and even denims. Through the years, I've sold a few different versions. Let me show you some examples right here. Let's look at some other poet shirts that have sold on eBay. Well, friends, that's it. That's this week's video on 10 vintage categories that can sell for great money, especially when you keep in mind the nuance of style, material, in addition to brand. As always, I hope I've helped you in some small way to prosper your reselling business along this week. And it's so simple. God provides. We just have to find it and flip it forward. Have a beautiful week ahead. I'll meet you right back here next Wednesday for more learning. Blessings on you. Bye-bye.